The highlight of Emily's childhood was Christmas, when her parents Albert and Gail turned their town into a winter wonderland. One Christmas day, she woke up and rushed downstairs to open the gift Santa had left for her, while her parents entered the house. She wanted to open her presents instantly, but her parents had to do work for the carnival, which they considered their responsibility. On her insistence, they let her open one present, which turned out to be a Polaroid camera. They gave her the idea of taking people's pictures at the carnival with this camera, and becoming the event's photographer. That way, she would be able to do her duty and have fun too. Her parents tried to instill the Christmas spirit in her, but as a 7-year-old, other things mattered more. Little Jared came to see her and told her all about his presents. She showed him her camera and took a picture of them together. He offered to help her in her duty and kept the picture with him. Every year, Emily wondered whether Christmas was a big to-do list, or if all the tasks on that list were actually fun. Emily, now an adult, enters her apartment holding a stack of presents, only to find her boyfriend Dan busy gaming. All the gifts she bought are for him, but he is not too big on gifting. This sets them off into a weird place where Emily declares that she's unhappy in their relationship. But Dan isn't as bothered as he should be. His lack of response confirms her assumption that he doesn't try at all, and she breaks up with him. She asks him to move out, only to get one more bomb dropped on her. Even though she found the apartment and put in the security deposit, Dan put his name on the lease when she was out of town. Defeated, she walks out, while he resumes playing his game. Emily is packing her bag while talking to her parents, who show empathy, but are actually delighted to hear the news of her breakup. Emily is now looking for apartments, but won't find anything in time until New Year. She can't go to Dan's place for her Christmas, so her parents ask her to spend it at their house in Evergreen Lane. She is not too thrilled, and would rather spend the holiday in a tropical location instead, but her parents insist on it. Emily senses that her mom is hiding something, but agrees to visit on the condition that they won't pressurize her with all their Christmas tasks. She estimates that she'll arrive by dinner time, but they want her to visit the next day because they have dinner plans with their friends, the Angerbertsons. So she decides to get there tomorrow morning and hangs up the call. At the other end, Gail reconfirms if Albert really thinks that this is a good idea. He seems to be sure, and calls all units on a walkie-talkie for code green and red. Emily drives into town while calling her friend Jess, and asks her to catch up. Pamela and Ned are giving instructions to the workers, who are working for the carnival. They are in the middle of putting up a Christmas banner and trimming the tulip bed when Emily drives by them. She takes a little break, and then continues to drive toward her home after their approval. Ned immediately alerts the other units of the initiation of Phase 2 of their plan. Bob and Mary Louise, who are also some other residents of Evergreen Lane, wave to Emily with smiles plastered on their faces, knowing the fact that she is completely oblivious. As soon as Emily pulls up at her parents' driveway, she sees them in tropical outfits, and that's when they break the news of them moving to Florida. Not only that, but their flight leaves in 3 hours, so their cab is outside to take them to the airport. They are leaving her in their home, and won't be back until New Year's, because they need to go house hunting in Florida immediately. Emily is already packed, so she offers to come with them. But they are sure that she will be fine in this town, with all the loving people. Emily wonders how they can leave a place where they are known for their Christmas festivities, but they believe that they can do the same to Florida, and that their festive spirit is needed there more than anywhere else. They leave the rest of the Christmas preparations to Emily, and set off on their journey to Florida. She gets a visitor, none other than her childhood friend Jared, who has now grown up to become a handsome and charming man. He makes fun of her short height, but also compliments her unforgettable smile. He welcomes her home with a hug, and informs her that she has been the talk of the town since she entered. And that's how he knew she was visiting, so he decided to come over. Emily finds out that Jared has moved back. She can't understand how he tolerates all the over-the-top Christmas decorations, and how strict the homeowners association is. She is surprised to hear that Jared actually loves them, and views her dad as his mentor, since he has become the president of the homeowners association. He invites her to a Christmas tree lighting ceremony, which is happening a bit later than usual, but Jared has his reasons for that. He is struggling with balancing everything, and doesn't know how Albert did it. Emily can't come to the ceremony, because she's meeting her friend Jess. She tries to make him remember who she is by mentioning her husband's name, Kevin Van Orden, and that they have a daughter now. Jared recognizes her just as he sees Jess and her daughter Nicole walking up to the door through the window. They also want to go to the ceremony, so it looks like Emily will be there tonight after all. Jared leaves, after handing her a notice for insufficient Christmas decor that she needs to work on as soon as possible. That evening, Jess offers Emily to crash at her place if she's lonely, but she has to take care of the house for her parents, and feels like some time alone would do her good. The tree lighting ceremony is about to start, so they step out. Emily is greeted by Belinda, Jared's mother, Bob, and Mary Louise, and she introduces them to Jess and Nicole. Bob and Mary Louise try to set her up with Jared, but Belinda stops their matchmaking efforts. Emily feels more awkward to see that they know about her recent breakup, and expresses that she needs to lay low this season, after walking away from them. Jared is popular among the townspeople and gives his speech. People are sad to hear that Gail and Albert won't be in attendance this year, for the first time in 30 years. He also ruins Emily's plans of sleeping in the next morning by asking her to attend the town meeting at 8 to fill in for her parents. Then he counts down to push the button on a remote, but the tree doesn't light up. Ned goes up to the stage to help him, and they fight over the remote until the tree lights up and everyone starts to clap and cheer. Emily's morning is ruined, as she has to wake up from all the noise her neighbor is making, singing Christmas carols at the top of his lungs and using a chainsaw to make ice sculptures. When she gets out of bed, she spots Jared creeping and lurking around her house porch, noting something in his notepad. She steps out of the house to bust him, and discovers that he also sneaks around people's houses like her dad to check for violations. She doesn't want to take on any obligations, but the laws put in place by the association state otherwise. She also complains to him about being pressured into coming to the meeting, but everyone is already expecting her. Jared apologizes, but still tries to convince her to cooperate with the festivities. He starts singing carols aloud, until she gives up and joins him to go to the meeting. They walk to the meeting while catching up, and Jared gets snowballed by Ned, who leads them in. They discuss the social calendar and who will be handling which event throughout the Christmas week at the meeting. The last event, called the Snowman Tableau, was usually covered by Emily's parents, but everyone wants Emily to take over now. Emily begins to question why her parents never found someone to fill in for them, if they knew they'd be gone for the holidays. Nevertheless, everyone expects her to plan for the event, put up decorations at her house, and participate in the cookie baking contest this afternoon. Emily reminds everyone that she doesn't need to do any of this, but they don't want her to miss out on all the fun. Mary Louise suggests that Pamela should help Emily out, which results in Emily and Pamela becoming co-managers for the last event. Emily FaceTimes her parents, who are driving a golf cart in Florida. They act like they forgot to hand down their duties to someone else when Emily inquires about them. Emily is upset with her parents for bailing on her and leaving her with all these unnecessary responsibilities she never wanted in the first place. This is not what she imagined her Christmas to be like this year. They apologize out of courtesy, but talk her into upholding their reputation by celebrating Christmas. They hang up after directing her to use the checklist they left behind for guidance. Jared leaves a citation at her house this time, in relation to a violation of the Nutcracker Code. Emily didn't know about it, but it obligates her to put up a nutcracker outside her house immediately. She puts a miniature nutcracker from her house on the porch and rips up his citation, which earns her 2 hours of community service. Now she will have to find a larger nutcracker and help Bob with plowing his driveway. She sets up reindeer decorations in Bob and Mary Louise's garden, while they lounge on chairs and command her. They thank her for her services and mention how wonderful Jared is again. Emily tries to get some information out of them about where her parents' decorations are, and Bob is about to spill the beans when Mary Louise interrupts and stops him. Emily returns to her house, where Jess and Nicole have come over, and now they can help her bake cookies for the concert. They start mixing the batter, while Emily rushes to answer the door when she hears the doorbell ring. Pamela is at the door to schedule a meeting with Emily about the event they have to plan together. She is nervous about the cookie competition, even though she wins every year, so they set a tentative time when they both will be in pleasant moods to finalize the details of the event. After Pamela leaves, Jess asks Emily about where she plans to stay after the holidays. Emily intends to stay in Evergreen Lane until she finds a new place, as she hopes her parents will be more than pleased to have her around. Jess and Nicole tease Emily about Jared, and how he only had eyes for her at the tree lighting ceremony. They show up at the cookie canister with Emily's basic sugar cookies, which appear plain and mediocre in front of all the elaborate and fancy cookies others have baked. When Emily, Jess, and Nicole take a bite, they realize that they mixed salt in the batter instead of sugar, and their cookies taste horrible. This is when Ned comes over and picks up one of Emily's cookies. He examines and gives a short lecture on the history of the shortbread cookie, before Emily makes an excuse for not letting him taste the cookie. The voting process is over, and now it's time for Belinda to announce the winner of the cookie contest. Ned wins third place, another woman named Missy is the runner-up, and Pamela wins the contest. She reacts by crying and exclaiming in pure bliss, after which Jess and Emily run into her. Still elated from maintaining her winning streak, she stays in her bossy and sarcastic element, due to which Jess jokingly calls her a bona fide ice queen behind her back. Emily and Pamela now have agreed to meet around 4 that day to plan the snowman parade. Jared wants to speak to Emily in private about her lack of effort, and how it's putting a damper on everyone's spirit. She starts to take this matter more seriously, and seeks help, due to which Jared enlists the neighbors to assist in decorating Emily's house through his red walkie-talkie. With everyone helping her with decorations, Emily is able to put up an acceptable nutcracker on her porch. By the end of the evening, the house is lit up with Christmas lights, and looks like the epitome of a winter wonderland. Emily turns to take a look at the house, while thanking everyone for their hard work and offering them a cup of hot cocoa. By the time she turns back, all the neighbors have scattered away, with only Jared remaining, who takes her up on her offer. She catches Jared playing with some toys when she hands him his cup of cocoa. They sit by the fireplace, and Emily shares her realization with Jared. All this time, she thought that people were obliged to take part in all these extravagant activities, when everyone actually enjoys them and does these things willingly, because of how fun it is. Jared agrees with how Gail and Albert have helped many people create beautiful holiday memories, and asks Emily if she still has their Polaroids from a carnival they attended together. Emily believes they must be in storage, and promises him to look for them. Talking to Jared opens Emily's eyes to how close he is to her parents, and how he knows every little detail about her because of them. They enter a comfortable conversation, until Emily remembers that she has to meet Pamela. She takes her leave, and Jared assures her that he'll let himself out. Emily shows up at Pamela's house in an apologetic manner, as she had gotten busy decorating the house with Santa's helpers. Pamela is furious with her for being so late, and not showing up at their agreed-upon time. So when Emily shows her Albert's checklist hoping they will divide tasks, she assigns them all to her, and asks to be informed when they're all complete. When Emily apologizes excessively and agrees to thread popcorn for her, Pamela takes a look at Albert's list, which she can't help but appreciate because of how organized it is. The next day, Emily meets up with Pamela on time, but her neck hurts from all the threading she did. They go over the neighborhood collecting donations for the snowman tableau. They acquire some carrots and old beanies from Ned, and some coal from Jared. Emily learns about Pamela's life. She moved there to be a part of the community, as her husband is always traveling at this time of the year, and usually makes it back by Christmas afternoon. Emily discovers Jared putting an invitation to his white elephant party in her mailbox. Jared is surprised to see how Emily has managed to thaw Pamela's icy heart and make her way in. He hands her another citation for no lawn display after Pamela leaves. The penalty for this citation is that she must attend his white elephant party. Then he volunteers to help her with organizing the donations she just collected, while she talks to her parents on the phone and notes that her parents buy their lawn display every year. They also notice that Emily is in Jared's company, and this is very exciting for them. As soon as Gail gets out of the room, Albert lets Emily in on the secret that all his lawn displays are in a storage unit outside town, as he keeps them as his prized possessions in secrecy. He sends them the information so that they can use those displays, instead of getting new ones. While Emily is concerned about her father's habit of hoarding after seeing his collection, Jared appears to be in Christmas heaven. Emily gets inspired, and puts up her lawn display in such a way that each piece represents one character from her colorful neighbors, according to their personality traits. Jared is honored when Emily reveals that he is represented by Santa Claus himself. Jess's family runs into them and marvels at how Emily's house radiates the Christmas spirit. When Nicole learns that Jared helped Emily with all this, she blatantly asks if he is her boyfriend. When she inquires about their relationship status, they both get flustered. They all then proceed to enter Emily's house to eat the sugar cookies Jess brought over. They spend the night having good old-fashioned Christmas-themed family fun. It's time for the snowman tableau the next day, where everybody is provided with supplies to make their own snow people. After dealing with Ned's quirks, they all get to it. Everyone makes their own snowman, while Emily and Jared make their own and walk over to others to view theirs too. Emily joins in on Jared's idea of fun during Christmas. He informs her that the dress code for his party is ugly sweater before he gets into a snowball fight with Nicole. That eventually turns into a neighborhood fiesta of fun. Later, Emily comes across a red box filled with Christmas memories in her parents' closet. It also has her old camera and photographs of everyone, including Pamela. Dressed up in her blue ugly sweater and with a present in her hand, she rings Jared's doorbell. When he sees her camera, he captures a picture of the two of them and puts it up beside the old picture that they took when they were kids. Emily is amazed to see that he kept it safe all these years. They all then sing Christmas carols together and go through the photographs Emily brought. Belinda whispers to Pamela and Emily about how stressed Jared is about the Christmas carnival, because the Santa he booked canceled. Emily is willing to help Jared in this regard, because she cares for him. Then they play a game where everyone gets presents, and Emily captures these moments with her camera, grinning from ear to ear. The next day, she tries to woo Jared with her kind gesture, as she has convinced Jess's husband Kevin to be Santa, and Pamela can whip up his costume. What's alarming is Jared's lack of enthusiasm and excitement, which is off-putting for Emily. Nevertheless, she coordinates with Pamela to finalize things. She has begun to enjoy all these activities by now, as she admits to Gail on the phone. She feels the magic in this service, and now understands her parents' dedication to all this. She also talks fondly of Jared, which is enough to show that she has developed feelings for him over the past few days. With Gail's wisdom, she figures out that she offended Jared by not asking him to be Santa, because it matters the most to him. She shows up at his door and gifts him the little nutcracker, which was the beginning of her fun-filled week, thanks to him. She apologizes to him, and fixes her mistake by asking him to be Santa. He takes it well and pulls her into a bear hug. They hurry to Pamela's house, but they're too late, as she already made the suit according to Kevin's measurements, and it's too tight for Jared. As a last resort, they go to Ned, who has a collection of Santa suits, and finally succeed in finding a costume that fits Jared. Ned and Jared nominate Emily as Santa's helper in the Kringle team. They give the red walkie-talkie to her and assemble all the helpers. They set up Santa's throne for Jared, and he feels at home as soon as he sits on it. His eyes keep switching back to Emily, and he notices her referring to her parents' house as home for the first time. That evening, Pamela is distressed as she confides in Emily about how her husband's flight got canceled because of a snowstorm. He won't be able to make it home for Christmas. She feels very lonely this Christmas, but doesn't want Emily to share this information with others because it would dampen their spirits. Emily feels horrible for Pamela and calls Dan in private. The Christmas carnival is running in all its glory, and Jess is glad to see how Emily is fitting in just right. She offers to help Emily move back home and find a place for her when she makes up her mind. With Pamela playing her elf, Jared talks to Nicole as Santa, and her wish is for Jared to take Emily out on a date, because she can see beyond the facade Emily puts up of not liking Jared romantically. Pamela looks up to see her husband Alan across the street. She runs into his arms, and they kiss each other passionately. This is Emily's idea of a Christmas miracle. Pamela's family is able to make such beautiful memories because of Emily, and Jared is impressed with how she called in a favor with Dan, just to get Alan home. Jared has had the best week, and believes this night to be the most magical night of his life. He finally asks her out on a date, and walks her home holding his arm, while they keep up their sweet banter. When Emily wakes up on a magical morning, she feels the same magic in the air as she did as a child, and runs to check for presents under the tree just as excitedly as she did in her childhood. She picks up a small gift when her parents surprise her, as they manage to make it back home in time for Christmas. They appreciate all the hard work she put in for Christmas decorations. It turns out that Gail knew about Albert's secret stash all along, and they are fully ready to bring Christmas to Florida's suburbs too, while Emily will look for a place in Evergreen Lane. The surprises just keep on coming as when Emily opens up the present she found under the tree, it has keys to the house. Her parents want her to keep their house on Evergreen Lane as a Christmas present, because they are moving to Florida, and there's no one else they would rather have be the new owner of their place. Emily takes them both in a warm embrace, elated by their generosity, and accepts their offer wholeheartedly. On perfect cue, the whole neighborhood standing outside their house begins to sing Christmas carols, and make the moment even more memorable. Albert and Gail open the doors of their house and let everyone in for some hot cocoa. Emily sits outside on the porch with Jared. She has a citation of her own for him now. The punishment he has to bear now is a request from Emily to kiss him. This is something he can easily and happily work with, and finally leans in for a kiss that is even more magical than the whole week has been. Their hearts overflowing with love and joy, they wish each other a Merry Christmas.